Jason with Chicago News. We've reviewed a couple of different Ford F-150s recently. Now it's time to check out their competitor, the Chevy Silverado. We're going to see how they stack up. We've been a really big fan of what Ford's done with their new pickup truck, and this is actually the last year of the outgoing Chevy, so next year we'll get to compare the new Chevy as well, but Ford kind of beat them to the punch, and this shows just how far they're lagging behind right now. You know, with this grille, they've really tried to modernize things. If you're like Chevy, you're definitely really going to like the look of this. You've got some modernizing that's gone on with these headlights too, but a lot of this really just looks like it's added on and clad on. You can see that these pieces that were added on here were just added above the headlights. So you can really tell that they were an afterthought. In addition to some of that tacked on look at the front, you've got a lot of add-ons here, like these 22-inch wheels. A lot of appearance, but there's not a lot of substance behind it. You know, all these add-ons kind of make it feel like a burger that's more toppings and not a lot of burger. There's just not a lot of substance and a little too much style. I don't know if you remember when we reviewed the F-150, but when you open the tailgate, there's a nice soft open feature. Let's see if we have that here. Oh, I guess not. You know, for years, we never had that, but now that we've seen that feature, you kind of wish for it on every vehicle. You really have to lower this yourself, and it's quite heavy. For 2018, Chevy is still all steel. They're going to an aluminum tailgate in 2019. The doors, the hood, and some of the movable panels will be aluminum. They're still going to retain a steel bed, but this steel tailgate, you've got to deal with it every time you open it. So we're finding outside that there's a lot of style and not as much substance. And we've got stuff that drops on us like this tailgate here. So we're gonna hop inside and see if there's more substance in there. Hopefully nothing else drops on us. So the first thing you notice hopping into this particular edition of the Silverado we get is it's pretty Spartan in here. This is more of a base truck than the Fords that we've tried, but we're going to take a look at the pricing and see what the difference is. It's a bit of a disappointment. You would think that this being more of a basic interior, not as many options, that you'd be saving a lot of money. The difference that we found was about $7,000 difference. But what that got you in the Ford was all of the different safety features, massaging seats, heated and cooled seats, leather, a huge moonroof, a ton of other features. So pricing wise, it just seems like this is definitely nowhere near the value you can get with an F-150. This package that our test vehicle seems geared more of an appearance package anyway. So, you know, it's got Chevy badges that are in black. Of course, the one inside here is the regular color, which is a bit of an odd contrast. It doesn't really tie everything together. Got the 22-inch wheels, you know, whereas the Ford has 20s. So this is kind of a pickup that's geared for flash and not so. As far as a truck, you know, doing what you need from a truck, everything's here, but extra features, there's a lot missing. Another thing we notice is without any load in the bed, these bumps that we're feeling on the Chicago roads here are pretty intense. There's a pretty rough ride now in tow. We did get a chance to drive it with a little bit of a load in the bed with a motorcycle and some other gear, probably about 750 pounds, and that smoothed the ride out quite a bit. So if you have one of these, you might consider just carrying something around with you all the time now. The problem with that is these companies right now are spending a whole bunch in R&D to try to make their trucks lighter. To have to throw some weight in it to make it ride nicely is counterproductive. 5.3 liter V8 in this has 355 horsepower compared to the 5 liter in the F-150 with 395. Definitely a cool sound. You can't beat that V8 grumble, but definitely missing a little bit on the horsepower side. Now, as far as towing capacity goes, this has a few hundred pounds more. I just have to wonder if that's not GM's marketing department making sure that they're not lagging behind in some categories. One nice thing in here is that you've got this bench front seat. Now, I feel like all pickups should have at least a folding bench seat. I mean, definitely want to be able to cram as many people in here as you can when needed. It's nice to have this center pocket, you know, and certainly if this had two separate seats with a deeper pocket here, you'd have a lot more storage space. But I like having that center seat. One problem there is, however, is you've got USB ports that are in this armrest to connect to this system, and it's really one of the only ways you can connect your phone to this system. But if you do that, then you fold this up to have someone sit here. Your cable is going to have to be really long if you still want to be able to use your phone or reach it. While it's kind of nice to have this, it does present its own set of problems. Also missing here is any one 10-volt outlet. So you've got 12-volt outlet here, another one in the center, but no 110-volt option. The Ford has it not only here, but in the bed as well. As far as interior space goes, it's really fantastic. Especially the headroom that you have, both front and rear here, and then the leg room in the back. The rear seats will fold completely up and out of the way, so you can make the entire rear section into cargo space if you need it. So lots of space in here, which is what you definitely want in a truck this size. While you've got a lot of space in the interior for you and anything you put in here, there's a lot of missing storage space. Ford has a lot more pockets that go along the center console, under the dash, on top of the dash. This has none of those, so a lot less individual storage place. Another odd thing we noticed is that with no blind spot monitor feature, you've got to really rely on the mirrors. There's one of these convex blind spot mirrors here on the driver's side, but I feel like where you really need it, over on the passenger side, there isn't one. It kind of makes you scratch your head why they wouldn't at least include that on both sides. It doesn't really do you as much good here where you can just glance over your shoulder. And the rearward visibility is pretty good. This B-pillar doesn't really impact your view that badly. You can glance back. I imagine if I had my seat slid further forward, if I were a little bit shorter, that this B-pillar would become a visibility problem. The combination of options we have on this particular test model lacks any of the premium audio, but what is here really doesn't sound good. And you know, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to get the premium audio, but you know, they could do a little bit better job of having better sound quality with the base stereo system. This screen also is quite small. Again, I don't think there's a big cost difference in changing this screen to one that's a little bit bigger. Along with the screen, and again, ostensibly to save money, you've got kind of a manual climate control system here. And again, I just don't feel like you're saving a ton of money with this. This is still nearly a $50,000 truck. So you're going to tell me that I'm going to go out and spend $50,000. I got a standard climate control system, not, you know, an automatic, and I've got this tiny screen. It just feels like there's not a lot of value here. So what do we think overall about this 2018 Silverado? Well, you can definitely tell it's a bit dated, that a new one is coming soon, and there's a new one coming out next year. But for the money, what you get with this Chevy really leaves a lot to be desired compared to some of the competitors. So we really hope the 2019 Silverado makes some big strides. There's just not a lot under the skin here, and when you're looking for a pickup, you want some features to go along with the muscle. So I would say, unless you're looking for that end of model year deal, it's probably best to wait for the new one to come out. Or you can just buy an F-150, which has been out for years now.